Hello, I am Matt Bennett, Director of Operations with AP Ohio, and I want to speak to you about your recent power outages, specifically from August 14th through September 15th. First off, I want to say I know you're frustrated and you have every right to be, and that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you've experienced these power outages. They do not meet your expectations, and they do not meet my expectations. As I do talk through this, I'm going to talk to you about the exact causes and what we're doing to prevent this in the future. And I'm going to be very transparent with you. And you're going to hear the cause of squirrel several times. I want to be very clear in the fact that I'm not blaming the squirrel. The squirrel is simply the cause of the outage, but the blame is solely on myself and AP Ohio, as it is my responsibility to keep the animals away from and off of our equipment so that you don't experience that power outage. Now, before I get into the outages, I kind of want to talk to you about how we feed power to the area. So first off, it comes in from transmission lines. Those are our high voltage lines. Think of that as you traveling on the interstate. So the power comes uh, via the interstate, our transmission lines, to what we call a substation. And for you all, that is Bethel substation. At that substation is where we step the voltage down to where we can deliver it to your home or business. Um, so Bethel substation has 17 circuits feeding over 26,000 customers. Now, a circuit, think of the circuit as the roads that you travel back to your neighborhood. So power comes in, transmission lines, that's the interstate, comes to Bethel substation, that steps the voltage down to where we can put it into a circuit and deliver it to your home. Think of those circuits as the roads driving back to your house. Most of you watching this is most likely Bethel 2612. So during that time frame from August 14th through September 15th, over 12,500 customers out of Bethel would have experienced anywhere from 2 to 6 power outages. Now, Bethel 2612, which feeds over 1,700 customers, would have experienced every single one of those. And I'm going to get into the details of what the cause of for those were. Before we get into the causes of those outages, we did take a look at your outage history over the last 15 years. That's what's represented on this slide. Use my little pointer here. So some memorable years for you all. So these are the years here on the left side, and the blue bars you see represents a year. The further the bar goes up the right, that is the count of customers affected. So for the memorable years for you all, 2012 being the derecho, 2019 would have been a large tree that fell and took down some power lines, and some of you would have experienced about a 16-hour power outage. And if you look at that top bar, that is 2024, August 14th to September 15th. And as you can see, if you add up all those years together, 25% of your outages over the last 15 years all occurred in that 1 month. Now, as we look at the cause of those outages, all 6 were caused by a squirrel, but I'm going to talk those 2 different ways. The first way is the ones inside the substation. That is August 27th, August 31st, and September 5th. And then I'll talk about the 3 outside the substation, which is August 14th, September 13th, and September 15th. So August 27th, you all experienced power outages. Crews come out, investigate. They find a squirrel had caused the outage. We restore your power, and then we started to investigate how the squirrel got onto our equipment. So at your substation, you have the fence that's the outside perimeter. Inside that perimeter, protecting our equipment, is another fence. It is an electric fence, a lot like an electric fence that you would use for a dog or like a cattle fence. It does apply a small shock. It is not fatal to the animals, but it's more of a deterrent. So what our employee found was there were holes dug underneath the fence, which is how the squirrel got into the substation. So at that point in time, our employee made us aware. He did the best he could as far as filling the holes with what gravel was at the substation, but he also said, hey, this isn't enough. We need more gravel. So we ordered the gravel. Gravel's planned to be there on September 3rd, which was the day after Labor Day. 4 days later, you all experienced another power outage. Crews arrive, find that it is a squirrel again inside the substation, restore the power, and then start inspecting the fence. And what they find now is there's several more holes underneath the fence that were not there on the 27th when they were there. And what they found out this time is there's several rabbits running around the station. The rabbits were the ones, that are burrowing underneath the fence, which then are letting the squirrels inside the substation. And squirrels are the ones climbing on the equipment and then causing the outage. So on August 31st, we brought a lot more gravel. What gravel we did have on site, put that to fill those holes the best we could, and then reaffirm that on September 3rd that more gravel was coming to the station. September 3rd, gravel does arrive. We put that around the station so nothing can dig underneath the fence. And then September 5th, you all experienced another power outage with a squirrel inside the substation. At this time, we contacted TransGuard. They are our fence experts. They're the ones that install this fence across the nation and substations. So we got them to come on site, meet us at Bethel, evaluate the fence, and find out what we were doing wrong and how to make this remedy the situation so you all don't experiencing power outages due to squirrels in the station. And what TransGuard was able to let us know is, your fence there at Bethel was installed in 2009 for that animal fence. So it was one of the first ones ever installed. TransGuard has learned a lot since 2009. And one of the things they learned is the fence is designed to where each section can be moved. And that is so the employees can work on the equipment inside the station. Well, over time, that does create gaps in between the sections, which is how the squirrel on September 5th made it into the substation. On the next slide, you can actually see this is a picture of the hole where the squirrels are getting into the substation. And then the next slide here, kind of might be a little bit hard to see, but here is one of the sections. This is where a hole would have been, a squirrel could have came in. And what this is TransGuard calls this section a snake guard. So in the southern part of the United States, they actually found a lot of snakes were getting into the substation and causing power outages via way of these small gaps that can be in here. So TransGuard now came out with these. We installed this everywhere in Bethel. The picture here on the left will show you the gravel that has been put around the substation. So now if you go to Bethel substation with the help of TransGuard, this is a model substation. This is the same type of pictures that TransGuard would use in a brochure to market their product. This is exactly how it should be designed to prevent animals from getting into the station. And to ensure that it stays this way, we will have somebody going to the station, or we already do. I said will, but we do have somebody going to the station twice a day to inspect the station, make sure the fence is turned on and working properly, make sure no animals are digging away the gravel from the fence, and also making sure that the snake guard is installed properly so there's no gaps anywhere in the fence where any animals, whether it's a squirrel or another type of animal, can make it into the substation. So I'm going to go back to this slide where it'll show you those were the 3 outages inside the substation, but we also had one on August 14th, September 13th, and September 15th. So August 14th was an animal climbed a pole, got under our equipment, made contact with the equipment, causing the outage. Crews came out, removed that piece of equipment from service, and then installed what we call animal guard or animal mitigation, which prevents the squirrels from making contact with our equipment and also hinders their ability to climb the pole. So then September 13th, you all experienced another outage that was, again, a squirrel climbing a pole, getting on equipment, and then the same thing on September 15th. So September 15th, we sent in several crews. If you've been driving up down Sawmill Road or down Cranston, you most likely saw our crews out there. But we've been working very hard to install animal mitigation on every pole on your circuit. We have completed over 85 of those poles. We have a few more left to do, and I'll talk to you here in a little bit as to why we're waiting on to do that on those last couple poles. So also on top of doing the animal mitigation on all the poles, we also conducted a drone inspection of your circuit. This allows us to take pictures like this that you see in the slide, where we can also see from above the circuit. We can get really close to it. We also do an IR scan of all the connection points on the circuit to make sure everything's in good and working order. We had two pieces of underground equipment that had failed. We repaired both of those. And then there was a couple pieces of equipment, we call it a switch, that were also damaged, and we replaced those as well. So just a little bit of a recap here to keep you up to speed of all the work we've done to prevent the outages going forward. We repaired the fence and added gravel at the substation. We installed the animal mitigation on all the poles and the equipments. We conducted a drone inspection and also did an infrared scan, and then replaced the underground cable and a couple of other pieces of damaged equipment. So now I told you there was a couple places that we haven't put up animal mitigation. As we go to the next slide, we'll talk about that. So on October 8th, our crews will be out there to replace a couple switches that were damaged where the squirrels caused the outage. While they're there, that's when they'll put up animal mitigation. In order for our crews to finish that work and do what that needs to be done, they do have to place the circuit on a more sensitive setting, and that is purely for the safety of the crews. If something were to go wrong, it will shut the power off immediately. And again, that's purely for the safety of our crews because they are going to work on the power lines while it's energized so that you do not experience a power outage. We just want you aware that it is on a more sensitive setting. If any of you have received any of our automated messaging in the past, you will receive an automated message letting you know when we're going to do that work. As of right now, it's planned for October 8th with a backup date of October 9th. But again, you'll receive a message telling you that, just in case, storms or weather impacts, things like that, that could delay that date. We want to be fully transparent with you when that work is happening. So finally, I just want to say thank you for listening to me, looking through the presentation. Hopefully that helps explain some of your power outages and what we're doing about it. And again, I am sorry that you experienced this. I understand you're frustrated. You expect better than this. We expect better than this. And you're going to get better service than what you experienced the last month. Thank you.